we show and we win a huge £7,300 pot.
Hi, my name's Adam and this is my poker vlog. As you might have realised, I'm a poker player based in the UK, currently living in Manchester, but that's all about to change. So here's what to expect from my vlog. I want you to experience with me the highs and lows of playing poker for a living. I want to include many hand histories that I actually play, including my thoughts at the time and why I acted and did the things I did in the hands. I want to include a lot of poker related travel. So I'm currently planning on traveling to different cities, playing in different poker venues, and I want you to come on that journey with me. It's going to be a true and up-to-date insight into my current financial position, including my bankroll and the bills I've got to pay, etc. So you can see how I pay the bills at the end of each month. Expect to see me functioning on 3 hours sleep quite regularly, which is the case now. I'm staying in a hotel, but I've been woken up by some drilling today, so being nocturnal isn't all it's made out to be. But overall, it's going to be a fun vlog, I think, but also a warts and all view into the actual realities of playing poker here in the UK. So now seems like a good time to get you all up to date on my poker journey so far. I've been playing poker seriously now for the past 2 years or so, starting off in Leeds, mainly playing 1-1 games in the Grosvenor Casino there in Leeds. That's where I learned sort of an awful lot about poker and really improved in the 14 months that I was playing poker seriously there. Over the past 2 years in Leeds, I've played for 1,350 hours, winning £18,175, working out at £13.46 an hour. Now I believe that I could probably win more playing there now than that, but over the course of that time and the learning curve, etc., it worked out at £13.46. So in February of this year, I decided to move to Manchester as the games are a lot better there compared to Leeds, and the stacks tend to be a lot deeper, despite it also being mainly a 1-1 game. And since February, and during the trips I made to Manchester before I moved there, I played for a total of 424 hours, winning 9,586 at £22.61 per hour. I have also played in some other venues over the 2 years, but I'm not going to include all those here. Those are the main 2 venues that I've been playing in. Throughout September and October of this year, I've been making regular trips down to London to play in some bigger games. And just today I actually signed for a place for 3 months starting in early November in London. So stick with me on my journey and let's see how London works out. Hi guys, so I'm just currently walking to the Hippodrome in London to get some hands for the next vlog. Take a look at some hands that I played over the last week and see how I got on. So in this hand, we're playing 1-1-2, the straddle is on. We look down at King Queen offsuit with the Queen of Diamonds under the gun and raise to £8. It folds all the way around to the big blind, who's the only caller. £19 pot to the flop of Ace 8 9 with 2 diamonds. The big blind checks. We could bet here. We've got a few backdoors, backdoor flush draw and backdoor straight draws. But I opt for a check because I think we could well have a little bit of showdown value here. We might not need to bluff, so king high might be good. The turn comes the Jack of Diamonds, so we pick up a gut shot along with our now backdoor flush draw. The big blind checks and we bet £10. I think we can get maybe a 8x to fold, potentially even 9x to fold here, along with small pocket pairs. The big blind makes the call.
The river is the queen of spades, so we make second pair. The big blind checks, and we decide to check back because I think we've got some showdown value now. Our hand could well be good. So we check back, and unfortunately we lose against the big blind's queen jack. Another hand for you now then from Manchester 235. We look down at king 10 offsuit in the big blind. We have the king of diamonds. There are 3 limps and the small blind checks playing 1-1, and sometimes I would squeeze this. I'd certainly squeeze all the suited varieties of this hand, but with it being offsuit, I just decided to take a flop. So I check. The flop comes ace 9-3, all diamonds. The small blind checks. I decide to check, thinking about check raising a small bet, but when the hijack overbets the pot with a £7 bet, the cut-off and the button call, I just decide to call and take a turn. I think quite a few players might have a big diamond like queen of diamonds, jack or jack of diamonds, and I don't really want to raise and get them to fold those hands out because I could cola those hands later. So I just decide to call on the flop, and we go 4 ways to a turn, which is the queen of spades, giving me a straight draw along with my flush draw now. The small blind, sorry, I check, I first to act, I check. The hijack bets 21, the cutoff folds, the button calls, and I decide to go for it here. I put both players all in. The hijack has about 155 pounds, and I think the button has about 100 pounds total. I'm just thinking if they've both got like ace X, it's going to be really hard for them to call an all in here because I could have a flush. Again, if they've got, you know, like maybe the queen of diamonds specifically, they might fold that out as well, which is obviously a hand I'm losing to when the queen comes on the turn. So I decide to put the pressure on and go all in. Unfortunately, they do actually both call. The hijack has 5-2 of diamonds, and the button, who calls all in for 100, has queen jack offsuit with the queen of diamonds, and the river is the 8 of hearts. So unfortunately we'll lose that pot. The hijack scoops with his made flush. So another hand from later on in the same session, we look down at king 5 of clubs on the button. The hijack raises to £5, and I think normally this is a fold, but the hijack is a reasonably decent player, and he's been opening quite a lot and getting his raises through. So decide to give him a bit of action here with a 3-bet and raise to 15. It folds round to the hijack, who is the only caller. The flop comes queen jack for rainbow. The hijack checks, and I think on this flop we don't really have an awful lot going for us. I'd often size down a little bit here as a C bet, but I think because we don't really have any backdoors to barrel apart from a backdoor straight draw, I think we sized up a little bit just to get folds immediately from maybe like pocket 8s, pocket 9s that might call 1-bet, or a hand like jack 10 might even fold to a larger bet on the flop. So we go for a £25 bet into a £32 pot. Unfortunately, the hijack calls. When he calls, I've pretty much done with the hand unless I sort of pick up a really good backdoor draw or hit something. We go to the turn, which unfortunately is a 7 of hearts. So when he checks, I've pretty much done with the hand and I check back. The river changes things, however. The river is the ace of clubs. So when he checks, I decide to polarize here, represent a hand such as ace jack or maybe a king 10 type hand, and I bet nearly the pot. I bet £75. The hijack goes into the tank for a while, but luckily for us he makes the fold. So I think the river being such a good card for us really helps there. So we win that. Now here's another hand from Manchester 235 in the same session, but unfortunately I was charging my phone so I didn't get a video of this hand. However, as you can see, we have pocket 4s in the small blind, There are two limps. I decide to check, and the big blind checks. So we go 4 ways to a flop, and the flop is pretty good. We flop a full house. The flop is 4-7-7. We decide to lead out here. I think we're going to lead out with a lot of good sevens, and I think we can lead out for a big bet because we're hoping that someone's got a 7 here. We don't block any of the 7s, which is great. So we overbet the pot. We bet £7, and the cut-off is the only caller. Everyone else folds. The turn is another 4, so we actually make quads, and that's a great card for us as well because a 7 is never folding. Now a 7 is the top full house, so a 7's never folding. The kicker's sort of irrelevant at the minute. So we make a £35 bet into only 18, targeting a 7. The cut-off calls again, and the river is a 9. So with £88 in the pot, we actually decide to shove. Now, I think a lot of players here might just bet, like 60, 70 to target a 7, but in these games, there's no way a 7 is going to fold. So we get greedy, we go for the maximum, and we actually get snap called. He says, oh, we must be chopping, and snap calls the nearly 3x pot bet on the river. So we get the good news, we show, and we get shown the 7-5 offsuit for the full house, and we scoop a big pot. So we're diving into a big hand here then. I look down at King in the big blind. The £20 straddle is on. There are two limpers. I'm hoping someone's going to raise, and the small blind obliges, making it £100. I look over to my left, and I think there's literally steam coming out of the straddler's ears, and he's been 3-betting all night. So even though I'd usually raise, I decide to just flat the 100 and set the trap. Unfortunately, the plan doesn't work. The straddle and both limpers call the 100, so I'm relying on a good flop here to help us out, going 5 ways. And there it is. We get the King Jack 6 flop. So we flop the nuts. And even more good news, the small blind assembles a bet and slides out £400. Now, we've got a bit of a decision here. We could raise. Obviously, we've got the nuts, so we're definitely in front. But it does look very, very strong, and we've got sort of 3 players still to act behind us. So I decide to flat and try and bring the others in. The straddle also calls, but unfortunately the other 2 players fold. 3 ways to a £1,700 turn, which is an offsuit 10. Now on this card, the pre-flop raiser can certainly have some ace-queen in his range, but I'm not expecting the straddle to have ace-queen. The straddle, I suppose, could have queen-9, but I'm still expecting to be in front, and I feel a lot better when the small blind checks it over to me. So it's time to go for some thick value now here. I believe it's very likely we've got the best hand. So I slide out a £900 bet. The straddler moves out of the way, and the small blind makes the call. So we're off to a river. Could do with a nice brick here or a pair up. And we get the brick. It's an offsuit 4. So the small blind checks again. And now we've got to think about our value targets. I think squeezing out the small blind pre-flop, he's going to have a lot of ace-king, aces, maybe king-queen. I mean, could even have a great hand like king-jack, which would be amazing, obviously. So we settle on a bet of 1900, just below the 2k mark. So fingers crossed for a call. We're really hoping he makes the call. And after a long tank, he calls. So we show. and we win a huge £7,300 pot. Oh baby, I love it. The small blind actually flashes ace before mucking, so I think the flat call pre-flop worked out very well in the end. So here's another hand from later on in the same session. We find ourselves with ace king in the big blind. The £20 straddle is on. There are 3 limpers in the field, and obviously we're going to raise this. We squeeze this rather large to £200, and we get calls from the hijack and the button. So 3 ways to a queen 6-2 rainbow flop. We decide that I think we're betting small here with our entire range to deny equity from hands such as Jack 10, 8-9, along with giving us the opportunity to fold out small pairs on later streets. If someone's got like pocket 3s, pocket 4s, we can put pressure on later on and get those to fold out. So I bet £200. The hijack calls and the button folds, so we're heads up to a turn. The turn pairs the queen. I check it over and he checks back. When this specific player checks, I'm confident that I've got the best hand now. I think he's going to bet with a lot of his 2 pairs, this particular opponent. The river comes another queen, so there are 3 queens on board now. And I actually bet really small here for value. I bet £125, hoping that he'll call with a lot of his ace highs that I beat. Unexpectedly, however, the hijack raises me to 300. As mentioned, I expect him to bet all his better hands on the turn, and getting an incredible price of almost 9-1, I decide to flick in the call. We get the good news. The hijack very sheepishly shows 3-4 of hearts for a missed gut shot, and we scoop the pot. Hi guys, so as I mentioned earlier in the vlog, I wanted this to be very sort of personable. I wanted you to get a good understanding of my financial situation, so I thought we'd go through the sort of costs to me each month and how much I hope to make in order to build my bankroll. I thought, what better place to bring you to in London than Hyde Park? So here we are. So in terms of my current costs then, I'm renting a room in Manchester at the minute. That's quite cheap, that's only £400 per calendar month. I've just committed to a room in London, which is considerably more expensive as you might expect, which is going to cost me £820 per calendar month. Unfortunately, I have some debts and money that I owe to pay back from the last few years, so I'm currently paying back £300 a month on various credit cards and debts and things like that. So I've got to find £300 a month to pay off my debts. I also have £80 a month, give or take, in subscriptions. So I subscribe to Crush Life Poker, and there's a few other things like YouTube Premium, things like that. So I subscribe, and altogether my subscriptions come to around £80 a month. And then we have sort of general expenses and living, so the budget that I give myself each month, what I'm allowed to spend. So I've set myself £900 per calendar month for that. Which, if your maths is good, well, you'll know that I'm currently spending around £2,500 a month. That's what I'm sort of transferring from my bankroll account, if you like, from my bankroll money into my current account to pay out bills and spending, etc. So my target in terms of my poker target. Now I've moved down to London. Hopefully I'm going to be making a lot more than I was up in Manchester. So my target is £5,000 profit per calendar month. That will mean obviously that my bankroll hopefully will increase by 2,500 per month. So hopefully I can build a bankroll that way. Okay, so my bankroll to start the vlog then, when I first started filming a few hands back on the 8th of October, was £25,000, which is plenty to play 1-1, but probably not enough to play sort of 2-5 and 5-10, which is why I sell a third of my action to Sam Clark. Most of you will probably have seen his poker vlog, Sam Clark Poker. So he does a YouTube poker vlog, a very successful one. So my results since the 8th of October then, I lost £198 on the 8th playing in Manchester 235. I then went back the night after to lose another 574, so it wasn't going very well. However, on the 11th of October I won 763, so that brought me back around even. So that's playing in Manchester 235. I then travelled down to London, as a lot of you know, and played at the Kingsman Club, a private club in London. I would highly recommend. I played 1-3 there on the 13th of October and lost £405. I then jumped into a juicy 5-10 game, which I sold a third of my action for, and in that game I actually won £4,700. However, obviously I gave away a third of that, so I won £3,133. Unfortunately though, however, the night after I played 5-10 PLO and No Limit Hold'em, and I lost 4,000 altogether in that. PLO, as you can guess, is very swingy. Unfortunately, a few hands didn't go my way, so I lost 4,000 there. Having sold a third of my action, the actual loss to me was 2,667. Which means, since I started the vlog, I've actually profited £52 from playing poker. So an amazing week, meaning that my bankroll to end the vlog is £25,052. So a very slow start, as you can see, but let's hope things pick up in this next week. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more vlogs and more videos, and join me next week to see how this week goes. I'll see you soon.